Welcome back, gentlemen, to the shop. The video I want to share with you today was a surprise to me as much as it is to many of you. It might be the very last time you have an opportunity of seeing something like this, the way things are going. What I'm about to show you is one of my neighbors' sawmill that he has ran. He's been a sawmiller since 1957, and he's still running it full-time today. I had purchased from him before in the past. Jariah turned me on to him, but I knew it was a small sawmill, but I didn't understand what it was until I saw it with my own eyes yesterday. Well, this video I shot on my iPhone, and I wasn't planning on doing any video. I was just checking on Jack, but after my monologue here, we'll go right to it. And I hope you'll stick around for it because it's pretty extraordinary. This sawmill is a head saw, 60-inch blade, a sawmill that was the basis of what logged the great forests of the Pacific Northwest. That pretty much that whole industry died out. Goodness, that must have been in like the 80s and 90s when the environmental movement came up, and of course the spotted owl. And it got to the point where sawmills, the great sawmills that could handle the gigantic old growth trees, the peak of the technology, were all scrapped and sold basically for scrap into modern forestry that we have now. My neighbor, of course, keeps this tradition alive, and the most extraordinary thing is that he's 83 years old. He works this every day, of course, takes the Lord's Day off, but is an extraordinary man. Him and his son, his boy, who's a grown man, my age or so, work it with him, and usually a boy. And when I heard about this sawmill and started to understand what it was, I sent Jack out there to work with him for a day. He did a full shift, and you know how teenagers are. You didn't really understand it. I said, just go. I think you'll understand it better if you can spend the day. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do this. So towards the end of the day, I took my trailer to grab our first load of fence posts for the new garden, and I shot this video with my phone, which I'm going to share with you today. In closing, after spending so much time, and of course I stayed much longer after Jack went home after a shift, and he was such a fascinating man to talk to. And his vitality and his vigor and his mindset made an incredible impression upon me. And the way he looked at the world and the way that he spoke is that, well, of course I would run my sawmill. And the interesting thing is he doesn't have to. He owns massive tracts of land. He's probably, he's more than well off. He doesn't have to do this, but he does it because why wouldn't he be useful? He has a sawmill and his neighbors have need of lumber, and so he continues on, and not only that, but he's building his third big one, which is going to be fully automated. So I hope to go back there. I asked him if I could go back with my good cameras and choose a good day, and he was open to that. So if the opportunity comes up, I will do that, and maybe we can even get him on camera because he's an extraordinary man, and his breadth and depth of knowledge is absolutely fascinating to me. As I was climbing out of his sawmill with my load of lumber, his life and the way he lived and conducted himself is such a rebuke to me, and I think probably to a lot of you that may be able to relate. And what I mean is when we find ourselves whinging and complaining about our situation and leading with excuses and all these things, could this man at 83 not come up with plenty of excuses not to get up and be a useful member, actually an essential member to the local community? I mean, goodness, that's an extraordinary lesson there, and I was very humbled by it, to be honest with you, and very contemplative all the way home, thinking about that and reevaluating my entitlement, which is easy to get out of hand, isn't it? Thanks for listening. Enjoy the video. This is Bob. And this is Bob's sawmill. The blade is 60 inches in diameter, and they're made out of tool steel. They're actually replaceable. Underneath the platform there, he had a small sawyer's cabinet, and he showed me how you twist them in and how you sharpen them. All of those works there, you see, everything's all manual. And I pulled on everything, just a little bit, not with the saw running, and it was very physical. To be able to do this for an entire shift at 82, 83 is nothing less than extraordinary. He's such an experienced sawyer that you'll notice that he'll cut whatever is the most usable out of the wood. For me right now, he's cutting these small posts for Doug fir, 4x4 posts for our garden. And you'll see he'll clear the bark off here. And it's incredible how precise he is, just using that little ruler taped on the side and just kind of his eye. And right here you'll see he'll cut the wane off, and then he'll cut a deck board out as well as one of my 4x4s. Now, the efficiency of this mill was extraordinary, and we talked a lot about that. He said a sawmill needs to flow through. You can't have any angles or bends. And so he's not just cutting our lumber, he's cutting lumber for multiple customers. On the left there, you'll see those are for fence pickets, and then 4x4s for us. And I told him I didn't need anything real high quality. There's the batteries. Now keep in mind, this lumber is heavy. This is the planer. This is what sets it to an extremely tight tolerance. These are full dimension 2x8s right here, I believe. Even knocks the edges off. I'll tell you, Jack slept well tonight. You can't buy lumber of this quality at a big box store. Look at that red fir, the finest building material in the world. Now the runoff table there, it has an assortment of all sorts of things, whatever Bob can get out of the piece. And these are my 4x4s, full dimension. Sawdust management's really important. It was something that he said, oh yeah, it'll just eat you alive if you don't get rid of it. So this whole conveyor belt system is designed to deliver the sawdust into a dump truck. The conveyor comes down. And not only does Bob do all the sawmilling, but he maintains all this equipment. Isn't that beautiful?